You are doing goal setting wrong. Guarantee it. And what I want to do today is bring Mark Hodgson in. He's an executive coach. He's a goal setting extraordinaire. And he's going to walk us through exactly what we're doing wrong, how to fix that. And you know what? Right at the end, there's going to be a little treat for you as well. Join us. It's going to be an amazing episode. Don't miss out. Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson. Today, we are joined by the wonderful, the one and only Mark Hodgson. Mark, welcome.
Hey, Brett. Thrilled to be on the show, finally.
Thank you. So have you got any practical advice or any ideas or any modules here that people could use today to help them? They might be sitting here going, I know what my goals are. What provocations, what questions, or what systems or whatever do you have that can help them today start building up that foundation?
I think one of the great go-tos would be the book Atomic Habits, which is been around. I think it's 5 or 6 years now. It's very well known. You can buy it everywhere, and there's some really good frames in that. And I think the most famous quote from that book is, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." And this is all about that idea that you need to systematize the way you're actually going to achieve your goals, rather than just have. Because if you don't systematize them, you're really right. You are, to a certain extent, more or less relying on willpower and personal motivation. Whereas if we can systematize things, chances are, you're going to be much more successful. So, for example, I know in the book the example that's used a lot is about diet. So if you're trying to lose weight, have a system where you don't have chocolate or crisps or stuff like that in your fridge, and you do have celery and pre-cut carrots and water and stuff. I mean, that's a system that an environment. You're setting up a system and an environment that just through which you stand a far greater chance of achieving your goals, which in that sense might be weight loss, because you've got rid of a whole lot of stuff that's going to get in the way of you achieving your goals.
That's it. And it's I think Tony Robbins says it so well, which is when you're in state, i.e. when you're in this mode of planning and building the foundations, you're in state because it makes so much sense, right? But then the moment you walk out of that space and life starts happening again, you forget it all, right? So he's always talking about when you're in state, put some actions in place right there and then that will chase you. So changing the food selection in your cupboard, or if you're looking to start a gym, email a trainer. They'll chase you. You know what I mean? Like put some actions in place that'll help chug that along, because it's hard, right, to keep yourself on it. Yeah. You'll get there in time when you start celebrating those small wins and getting those little dopamine hits and getting that little celebration happening at that lower foundational level. That starts to become addictive, not the actual goal itself, and that's how you start winning more goals, right?
100%. So there's a couple of systems I use, for example, in terms of the morning routine piece I spoke about. So. For example, I'm part of a running group. We run on a Monday morning. We meet at 6 o'clock. And right now in Sydney, it's dark. So all I have to do though is have the discipline to set the alarm clock for 20 to 6. Get up, brush my teeth, jump in the car, and then I arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning at the meeting point. It's someone else's running group. They tell us where we're going, and off we go. So my input is quite limited. I just need to get there. Once I'm there, I'm going to do it because that's what we're doing, and I don't need to plan the route or run the group. I just turn up. Similarly, twice a week, I'm part of a rowing crew, a surfboat crew. Again, we meet early at 6 o'clock. Now the thing with the surfboat crew, there's 5 of us in a boat. If you don't turn up, the boat doesn't go out. So you can imagine there's a lot of guilt and put it this way, you get about once a year you get the chance to make a mess up and not turn up, but it happens almost never. So the reality is you're going to turn up because even if you don't feel like turning up, I can't not go. Even if it's throwing it down with rain or it's freezing, I can't not go because I can't let down everyone else. So that, therefore, you're creating a system. So I turn up and then I know I'm going to do an hour's worth of great exercise. And I think it's really important to understand, we've got to be honest with ourselves, because if we come into the area of goals and goal setting, goal achievement, we're good at self-sabotaging for a whole lot of reasons. I say our willpower and our motivation. It's we can get excited, but if we're honest with ourselves, often if that's what we're relying on, we know we'll let ourselves down. It's just human nature. And so the bad part about that is not only is that true, but also if we do that repeatedly, we can start to beat up on ourselves. And one of the things I find a lot with my executive coaching work is that people can be really down on themselves. We can be our own harshest critics, and we don't want to feed that. No. So again, let's create systems that give ourselves the best chance of being the best version of ourselves, the successful version of ourselves, not just rely that we're going to turn up at our best randomly by accident, just because we feel good on any given day. Because the reality, and we're talking about recruiting, when you feel good, when you've just made a big sale, then it's easy to feel great about the job, and chances are you might have a good day and then maybe another good couple of days after that. But it's and anyone can be successful when the sun's out and the money's flowing. But what do? Suddenly a deal you thought was going to be really good suddenly fallen over. You feel shit, and then it's very easy for that disappointment. Say it's a Monday afternoon that you've disappointed. It's very easy for that to get you into a bit of a funk, and then you don't show up so well on a Tuesday. And then by the end of Tuesday, it's like, now it's a shit week, because now Monday and Tuesday are shit. So it's very easy. We've written off, and mentally we start to write off the week, and we start to procrastinate, and we don't get to go to work on time, and we don't make the calls. And before you know it, we've lost maybe a whole week, and that can become a bad run, right? And so we've got to work out, how do we condition ourselves to show up when it's hard, not when it's easy. And that's when it comes to the systems idea that we're talking about, atomic habits. That's when we use certain methodologies. So one for example is where you don't you push, maybe you say, okay, my task is this. So as part of achieving my sales target, I know I need to make 15 outbound calls in half a day. So as we all know, making outbound calls, especially if they're not particularly warm, can be difficult. So maybe we say, okay, I'm going to make 5 calls. That's going to take me half an hour, and at the end of that half an hour, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, or I'm going to go for a walk around the block for 10 minutes. But here's the thing: I'm not going to have that cup of coffee or go for my 10-minute walk around the block until I've done the 5 calls. So that's my reward for that activity. So I've made a little system there. I've done something that could be hard, or I don't particularly feel like it, and I've set myself up with a small and appropriate reward, and I can repeat, and that's how I get through 15 calls on a shit day when I don't feel like doing 15 calls.
And I think that you've hit on it, right? We all hate the dreaded KPI. Every recruitment agency says we have no KPIs, or we have limited KPIs. I think I'm starting to see that they're actually really bloody valuable, but they have to be the right metrics, and the worst KPIs are the ones imposed on you that make no sense. Why the fuck am I doing that? That's not going to help me. The best KPIs are the systems, essentially, that you've implemented for yourself. 15 calls is what I need to do every day. And if they come from you and they're your KPIs, they will be your North Star on those down days. I've just institutionalized something here. We've been talking about, we've had VAs forever, but I'm really getting that engine building at the moment. And part of that is getting someone else in our office on board with me, because I feel like they're an incredible recruiter, but they have such ups and downs, and it's because it's so energy driven, so motivational driven, and self-professed. I don't think my systems are good enough, because I don't institutionalize KPIs. I'm very much, what are your KPIs? You tell me, let's work to those. But he hasn't been able to work out what they are and articulate them. I can see them from a mile away. So he said, help me. Great. So that light bulb moment for him has opened the door for me to go, I'll help you. And we're doing it together. And one of the things I'm putting in place is that 10:30 every single morning, you have to be on a call with one of the VAs telling them what they have to do today for you. It's almost like, and I said, to make this real for you, you're paying for the VA. He was like, I'm in. And like it was just like he's bought right into it.
Which is great.
So, and I didn't say he has to pay for it. I just said, here, we'll put your threshold up $5K a quarter. It's nothing. The amount of results he'll get from this process will push him freaking way beyond that. But that accountability to that system, to that individual.
Well, and also accountability to the system and accountability to others. This is a really important thing, because if we are only accountable to ourselves for our goal setting and our goal tracking and our goal achievements, I say that can be a really bad thing, because we can on our good day we're great, but we've got to think about who are we on our worst day, and on our worst day we're distracted, where we're doubtful, our confidence might be low, and that is not that's not a good person to have in our motivational corner. No. So if we can have a buddy or a system or a process, and at times you might hate it, but I mean one thing I do know about business success, and I'm sure you're the same. Hard work goes a long way. Working hard and the discipline of working hard and gritting it, even when you don't love doing it, is so important. And again, it comes back to that removing the emotion, because we're human beings, right? We're not machines. So we've got to be smart. I mean, another thought as we're talking about this around this idea of goal setting, I think one of the other things we tend to do is we overcomplicate it. I mean, one of my mentors, he's got a great phrase. I use this slide quite often. He says that the trouble with smart people is that we overcomplicate the fuck out of everything. Which we can all. I'm sure everyone listening to this.
What is it? Keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly. So instead of setting up 75 different metrics that are complex, and just tracking them becomes a really its own distraction. Just pick, I don't know, three key metrics. So we've already talked about. I would have thought for a recruiter, which is effective as a recruiter, you're in the sales business. The number of outbound sales calls you make every day. If it's, I know we talked about, I don't know what the number is, 15, 20. I reckon if you can show me a recruiter who's making 20, intelligent outbound sales phone calls a day, I reckon I'm looking at a successful recruiter.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Now, from there, you can go, okay, we can nuance this, we can nuance that, we can do a whole lot of other things. But if you just followed that one KPI and worked through the systems we talked about, the coffee rule or the walk rule, or I go to the gym after I've done my 20, whatever the thing, however you systemize that to me is the DNA of a successful recruiter. And, and again, for people listening to this, you think about, yourself when you've done well. Not when you just jagged a whole load of great work. It's just one of those things that just happens. When you've had a good period of doing well, chances are you were diligent around things like outbound sales calls or lead gen through LinkedIn or whatever the appropriate piece is. But my point is just to pick one or two simple things, put a realistic metric that that works in place, and just do that one or two things. And keep it simple. Yeah. Because when we overcomplicate stuff, then again, managing we create our own distraction because we've overcomplicated it. And in so many, not just in the goal setting piece, but in business generally, I see, and in this world we live in, which is so full of distractions and this and that and the other thing, keep it simple and work out what you do. What you do and do well and do properly, and work out how you do more of it. Don't add more side things to it. Just work out what's the one thing I do. So if you recruit in one space, work out what am I really good at. I'm great at that. Okay, and I place 10 people a month. Okay, what do I need to do to place 20 people a month? Do I need to go to a new state? Do I need to do I need to get a VA to do some of the work, etc., etc. But just stay in that lane and just keep going that lane. Don't say, I'll go and do another thing, and I'll go and do another thing. I'll start another desk. Might be the right strategy, but also it might not be, because again, you've added complexity. So I think the simplicity and focus is a really important part of goal setting and goal achievement.
I love it. I mean, these when you're on a podcast, we're all up here, right? And we're talking concepts and ideas. What I love about Mark's stuff, and I'm going to plug him. He hasn't asked me to do this. I want to do this for him. reach out to him and see if there's any modules or courses he could give you. They might be a quick 1 hour with your team. It might be a one-on-one. It might be with a group of people. But I've used Mark multiple times for our team because some of those courses you have are brilliant. There's workbooks. There's, we can talk about the goals, but then there's like really forces you to think, what am I doing at 6 a.m.? Like that sort of granularity. Is that a word? And we've got a lot out of it. And we haven't been able to do that today. That's just part of his offering. So please reach out to him if you felt that he had some wise words to say. Engage him on LinkedIn. In this post, in the blurb, there'll be a link to his LinkedIn. So connect with him because he's always putting out amazing stuff. But I think for today, thank you. What other?
Actually, the one thing I say, there's a lot of resources I have. The one thing that I've currently got on offer to clients, and it's a free assessment that will be the perfect follow-up for what we've spoken about today. It's called your personal mid-year review. And we'll put the link on the site, and you download it, and it looks at 3 phases. It's about reviewing so we're midway through 2024. Yep. In fact, we're recording this on the shortest day of the year, 21st of June.
Yeah.
So we're just about to get going into the second half. And it's a workbook system. It asks you to reflect on what you've achieved or not achieved in the first 6 months of the year. Think about what you need to do to sort of restore yourself, and maybe it's now a good time for a mid-year break or a long weekend or something that basically recharges your battery. And then what do we need to do to reboot for the next 6 months? So it would very much fall into goal setting, but also the bigger aspects of what we've talked about, that sort of life planning, morning routine, work-life balance, personal energy, such that you're very clear about what we want to achieve in the next 6 months. And also maybe you've asked and answered some questions about maybe some things you need to change in your world such that you create those foundations for success. So, personal mid-year report, so we'll put the link on that. That's a great little resource that could be useful.
Love it. We'll send it out to the mailing list as well. Beth will throw it up on the socials. So, Mark, thank you again. As always, we love it when you share, subscribe. It does help us grow. We are a small business. We're doing this out of the love of doing it. So any help you can give us to grow, we appreciate it. We love you for it. So thank you. As always, have an amazing day. May all your deals come true.